All right, so what I want to share with you is very simple. It's going to be my this is the e-commerce workflow. I think that this is something that I've taught to many people. They've been pretty successful with it, and this is something that we use ourselves. So hopefully, this is something that's going to help you out a lot as well. Um, and let's do some mind map because most people only do one store. They either do Amazon and they don't do eBay or something like that, or they just do Shopify and they try to do a little bit of Amazon. And I'll go into how different business models operate, what are the pros and cons in another video. I'm just going to show you here what works for me in terms of day-to-day workflow and processes and systems that we have in place. And I'm going to keep it very simple and straight to the point so that way you have a good idea of what it takes to run a successful business, at least for me, my experience. And so let's say that you have your store online, right? Most people will have, let's say, an eBay store or an Amazon store. Let's start with Amazon store, and let's say stores. So when you have an Amazon store, first thing you got to decide is what business model you're gonna pick. Dropshipping, I would highly advise against that, but some people do it. Some people, if they're new, they do straight out like wholesale or private label. I would also advise against that because honestly, within the first 12 months, it always ends up being a waste of time, right? Even if you were to operate within only for like 6 months, worst case scenario, right? You don't really want to be in the business anymore for 6 months. You at least want to be able to make some money, right? And private label is not going to give you that. Wholesale isn't really going to give you that. There are exceptions to the rules, but your chances of being successful with wholesale or private label within 6 months is pretty low. So we want to be able to increase our chances of success by picking the right business model, or I would say it's like the right sales strategy. For me, for Amazon at least, would be online arbitrage with FBA. And let's move this a little bit here. There you go. So online arbitrage with FBA. And the reason why this is because you're able to move a lot faster with this. With wholesale, you have to look for the suppliers, you have to get ungated. Maybe you gotta reach out to brands and 98% of them are gonna turn you down. They're all because you're new, because you don't know what you're doing, because also there are a lot of people contacted them saying, hey, I want to sell you products, right? The way I see online arbitrage works a lot better, especially for people that are new, for people that are looking to establish and systemize extra income for themselves, is because the reality is that you can go in, sell I don't know, a handful of units, 20 units, 25 units, and then also move to the next product. And that for me makes a lot more sense because at least you're controlling the pricing on a smaller quantity of products instead of saying, oh, now I have 200 or even 100 units, which is rarely the case. And then what happens is you have to say, well, I can sell 20 at this price, 30 at this price, 50 at this price. And what ends up looking like you're going to make some money, it ends up being like, oh, maybe you broke even. And if you get some refunds, you're actually kind of negative just because you have high quantities. Only go deep on products that you already know how they're going to perform. And even then, this stuff kind of happens where they might perform well for like 3-4 months and then they don't, and then you have to start over again. That's my biggest problem with wholesale, to be honest with you. I've done pretty much every single business model there is, and now people are modifying what they do. No, the classics, going back to how simple things work, is what always works. The tactics change, but strategies don't really change that much. So I'm not trying to paint this whole fantasy land where you can say, oh, we're going to make a lot of money. We do wholesale. We're going to buy this many pallets because one ASIN or one product moves $50,000 in sales. There are a lot of things that could happen. In order to run something like this successfully, though, you want to have systems. You want to have systems in place. So what happens when you have systems in place is you know what to do, right? And you want to know what to do on 3 levels. You want to know what to do on a daily basis, on a weekly basis, and on a monthly basis. This is the part right here, if I'm honest with you, where I feel like most people don't really know how to do this. They just they do it as it comes, right? They work, they hustle. every day for a whole week, then they slow down or they run out of money, and then they wait to have those products and then ship them. And then maybe month one, they started on the first week. Month two, they start sourcing the second week. There's just no consistency. And if there's anything about e-commerce, whether you're doing drop shipping, private label, online arbitrage, or retail arbitrage, they can all work to a certain extent with the right, actually with the right mentality, but most of it with the right system. And to be frank with you, I think that having the right system is what really makes a lot of sense for us, at least. So I'm going to show you what it is that we do on a daily basis, because to be honest with you, we have to have daily activities. It's just like any other business. This is something that I always tell my team. If you do things on a daily basis, you track on a weekly basis, and then you figure out how profitable it is on a monthly basis. And even meetings with my team sometimes on a weekly basis, especially team leaders, because when you're a solopreneur, you can make changes really fast, but you want to get to the level where things are systemized and you're part of that system that you created, that is ideally being a profitable system. If not, you're able to adjust it on a weekly basis, right? So the daily stuff is probably the most important one. So what is it that you do on a daily basis? So I would say some of the things that an operation for Amazon FBA with online arbitrage is product sourcing. I think this is by far one of the most important things. Why? Because you want to have options, right? You want to be able to every day maybe sit at your desk and look at the products that you can buy. And a lot of people know this, but when you are consistently getting products, it's almost like you already know what's going to come later next week. So you are less desperate. People that don't have products, or they run out of suppliers to reach out to, or they are not gated or they are gated in a lot of these brands, then they come with that mentality where, well, I have to make this one brand work. I have to make this supplier work because I don't have anything else. And honestly, for me, product sourcing, if you can systemize product sourcing where you can continuously get products, you will get to the point where every day you're saying, you know what, I'm just going to focus on the ones that I think would make the most sense based on your experience. Now, here's one quick reminder. You're not going to get it right the first time, right? If you have the proper guidelines, if you have the proper coaching or assistance, then you'll be able to pick the right products. But this is the part where if you're doing everything yourself, you got to give it some time, right? Here's the next thing that I would say is something that we got to do. You got to purchase, because a lot of times what happens is there's price fluctuation. So purchasing, being able to purchase products at a certain price after you've evaluated the product to make sure that, oh, those products make money or they don't make money, so you don't purchase them. It should be part of your daily practices. And you want to get to the point where visually you're getting these products on a daily basis. Every day you're getting boxes, right? I remember when I was living in an apartment, and I was like back in 2016, and literally like every day UPS, FedEx would stop by and drop off boxes and boxes and boxes of stuff in front of my door. A lot of times I couldn't even get to my door because of how many boxes there were, and this was on a day-to-day basis, right? I think that's the best position to be in when you're doing this business, where you're daily getting products. And if you're getting products daily, that means that your shipment is going to be much bigger. The next thing you want to do on a daily basis is repricing. Repricing is actually really important, because with repricing, there we go. With repricing, what's happening is you're looking at what's selling easily, stuff that you don't need to reprice. Those things are going to move out very fast. But then you want to be able to move those products. Now, this is where if you join me in the Ecom Pro Systems program, you learn that I'm very strong on being able to reprice fast, move products fast, and just count on speed more than profit margins. Because you may say, well, I'm going to let other people sell the product cheaper because you want to make a higher buy. But in reality, you're losing money at the end of the year because you're moving slower. So you got to be able to know, look, are you okay with just a 3, 4, 5% ROI instead of trying to reach that 20%? Because you want to look at this business, at least for the first 6 to 12 months, before I have everything in place. And I'm going to share with you exactly what I do to automate a lot of these things. You want to be able to look at the end of the year and say, we actually made a profit, right? When you're doing your taxes, you want to be able to say, we made a profit. And this is, for me, it's really important. If we think that something is going to sell and make us, I don't know, 25% profit ROI, or let's say 15% profit margin, and then we sell like 50, 70% of the units that we have for that product, and then there's the remaining 30%, then I'll say, let's just gain the buy box, right? Let's just get as many products sold as fast as possible, and let's sell out as fast as possible. In an ideal world, what this looks like is you would sell out of every single kind of product that you sent into Amazon as fast as possible. Speed over profit margins. Even if you were to break even, but at least you got your money back in order to try and use your money to buy other products. That makes a lot more sense than waiting for the market to adjust to your expectations of what the ROI should be like for you to keep selling that product. That to me is very unrealistic, rarely happens. Let's move on. The next thing we do is we do order tracking. This is why order tracking is actually really important for us. Order tracking is very, very important to us because this right here, you're going to be buying products. And if you're buying products every day, let's say that every day you're buying 10 different kinds of products, you have the budget for it, or even for like a whole week. Then what happens if someone, let's say, I don't know, one of your suppliers, so one of the sources that you're buying from, they don't send the product as fast as they should have. And now you're sort of limbo, or you're negative on the amount of money that you spend. You want to be able to track how fast they're shipping out your products. You want to have a spreadsheet where you have all your purchasing, how many units you bought, total amount that you spend. And you want to be able to track on the delivery, if they shipped it or they not, right? So just a simple spreadsheet. We use a product, maybe the order number, the website where you bought it from, how many units you bought, and how much you spent total. And then keep track all of that. Once it's delivered at your house, at your warehouse or your office, then great. You can update the status to arrived and inspect on it, right? You want to inspect on it as fast as possible and say, well, I ordered 20 units, I received 20 units, or no, I ordered 20 and I only received 10. So now I got to contact the source and say, hey, where are the other 10? Or maybe they send you 2 different tracking numbers. Whatever the case might be, you want to be able to track all of this, because if you don't, you're probably going to lose money. Next, this one is probably less something that doesn't happen as often if you're doing Amazon FBA, because you're using the FBA component of Amazon, right? So they're doing the customer service. But honestly, customer service is something that you should always keep an eye out for. I would say customer service is important because Amazon always tracks how good you are to their customers, right? And if you treat everybody good, let's say you get a message from the buyer and it bypasses Amazon, and technically they should be contacting Amazon, but because they're supposed to do the customer service. But in this case, you get to do it. Still try to offer the best customer service that you can. In my opinion, these things should be done daily, no matter what. You should be tracking your products. You should be buying more products. You should be finding more products. You should be repricing your existing products, and you should be offering great customer service. I think that this is base, that if you do this right, then a lot of the rest is going to come into place very nicely. Now, let's go into what needs to be done weekly. And honestly, this is where shipments come in. So what does that mean? It means you already ordered a lot of products during the week, and then maybe some of those products arrived. Maybe you have products that arrived from the week before that. In an ideal world, you want to ship out products on a weekly basis. Every week, maybe 200 to 500 units. If you can keep feeding the beast, which is Amazon, then the beast will keep selling products, right? You keep pricing and sending more products. Trust me, as long as you're not too risky with what you're buying, right? I never advise someone to sell Apple products, Sony products, or any major brands, because more than likely other people are selling that. Suppliers themselves are selling those products and they have better margins. So it just doesn't make any sense. You want to find products that are going to be good for you to resell. And then if you create a very specific guideline, like the one that we have actually for our clients in Ecom Pro systems, if they have that guideline, I highly advise that they never step out of those, because then they're going to have products that just don't make sense, and also in terms of quantity and whatnot. But on a weekly basis, what you want to do is you want to ship out products. That's the only thing that you want to do on a weekly basis. Next, let's go into monthly. Let's go into the monthly, right? So on a monthly basis, you want to do some sort of inventory reconciliation. So reconciliation. There you go. What does that mean? Because you've shipped products on a weekly basis, at the end of the month, there will be products that some reason disappeared at the warehouse, or they just didn't, I don't know, they didn't make it there, or they lost it. Whatever the case might be, you want to be able to track how many units you purchase, be able to keep your receipts and all that. And then if something doesn't arrive at the Amazon warehouse, so let's say you sent in 10 and they 10 units, and then they only received one, well, that's a big problem, because then you have 9 missing. They're gonna say, well, you only sent one. You're gonna say, no, I sent in 10, and Amazon has to do an investigation. Obviously, there are other things that they can check. For the most part, Amazon's really good at this. If, let's say, they lost the product, or someone at the warehouse lost the product, they'll reimburse you. But you don't want to leave to do this at the end of the year. I think a lot of sellers do this once or twice, or maybe 3 times a year, and they're running the whole year without knowing that they're actually running on negative, right? And a lot of people don't even have the best systems to keep track of all the products that they're sending in. So this is something very easy that you can do. This is something that we teach on how to do. Very, very simple. Almost every single month, just look at all the shipments that you send in, make sure they're arriving well in full. The last one is payout. So a lot of people, this is the reason obviously why a lot of people get into this business, but the way that I track it, the way that I track how well we're doing, everything, everywhere, basically payouts and above, up to product sourcing, is based on the payouts, and it's based on not just payouts and sales reports. You want to look at the end of the month and look at all the units that you sold, all the products that you sold, how much money you spent overall, and then how much did you have to pay in fees, right? You want to find where you might be leaking some money, and then be able to fix it if you're able to, or maybe make some modifications for your daily processes or your daily systems and your weekly processes as well, right? If you find that maybe instead of weekly shipments, you were like, oh, I'm going to do it bi-weekly, and then that affected your sales, because that happens a lot, then maybe you want to be more disciplined with that. But at the end of the month, what I like to do is I like to run just like how much money we spent, how much money we sold, how much revenue we have basically for the month, and then go through the fees and everything like that, right? I'll take a day at the beginning of the month and go through all of this. Now, based on that, I'll look at the products that lost money, the products that make more money, and then I would probably use all of that. Not probably, I will use all that information and then adjust what we're going to do the following month. And then you go back into your daily routine, right? This is very important. So that kind of sums up how we work with Amazon. Let's go back to our stores here and talk about what we do with eBay. Perfect. So with eBay is actually quite simple, because just like with Amazon, what we want to have is we want to have a good sales strategy. So the sales strategy that I found that works for me the best is actually going to be dropshipping, and for multiple reasons, but I'm going to explain just one that makes the most sense. First of all, dropshipping is not illegal. Pretty much everybody drop ships. I always laugh when people, especially lately, how TikTok changed their policies to not have drop shipping done in their platforms, when in reality everybody's drop shipping. Even the people that you're buying from are drop shipping. So drop shipping works for me, and we're gonna keep doing it. We've been doing it for a while, and keep in mind that I've been doing this for over 12 years. So I've done every single business model. When people freak out about what's not safe or what's safe, I always say, well, you know what matters is how I'm going to pay my bills at the end of the month, what I'm going to do, and what strategies and systems I'm going to implement. I don't care. The perception of what other people have don't matter to me, to be honest with you. Okay. I only go to where I think the profit is going to be at, build systems around it, and not burn myself out. So drop shipping is something that works pretty well for me. And I think it's because of the same approach that I have with being very systematic and being able to know what we're going to do on a daily, weekly, and monthly basis. Now, one thing that I tell you right now that I like about eBay that I don't like, which I don't like about Amazon, is the payout. I'll explain this to you more after the end of this video, or at the end of this video. Right now, let's focus on what this system looks like, or at least my system looks like, and that's been working for me. Obviously, we want to figure out, and let's move this a little bit over here. We have our daily. Let's see, let's move it all over here. We have our daily, our weekly, and then monthly, right? A monthly things that we're going to be doing. So what is it that we do on a daily basis? Much like Amazon, right? Product sourcing should be done daily. Even though you're not really buying products, because with drop shipping, you're listing the products and then you're selling the products. So the money stays in your pocket until you are able to sell that product, and then you're buying the product and shipping it to your buyer. The product sourcing is something that needs to be done on a daily basis. A lot of people like to do bulk listings, and no, what I like to do is I like to actually find the products that are selling in that week, that are doing well that week. And we have our own strategies and tactics for finding that out. All of them are going to be in the Ecom Pro Systems program, and I'll talk more about that later. But basically, just the same way, I want to be able to see what are the products that are selling right now, right? That's our way of doing product sourcing for eBay and for drop shipping. And then start listing those products, which is actually the next thing. Every day, you want to be listing new products. Product listing, it's almost like the more products you're able to list, the more revenue, the more sales you're going to make. It's very straightforward. I don't really need to go more into that with this video, but bottom line, it is what it is. The more products you have listed in your store, the more you're going to be able to sell. And just like with Amazon, honestly, you want to stay up to date with the pricing. So you want to have systems in place that allows you to reprice as fast as possible. What does that mean? It means that you may have a good seller and sells pretty well for a week, 2 weeks, a month, and then something happens, and then probably that one thing that happened was that there was another seller that started getting a lot more of those sales because they're selling for like $1 less than you. And honestly, you could probably eat up that dollar and still move a lot more inventory. So why don't you? Right? That's something that always amazes me. People would rather not reprice in order to keep a profit margin that doesn't really exist. Next, you want to do things like inventory management. Now, this is kind of tricky, right? Because you don't really have inventory with drop shipping, but you do have an inventory in your store that you're listing. And so what I say is, obviously, you don't want to sell anything that your stores already sold out on, right? So maybe you're selling something and then you get a bunch of sales. And I remember that happened to me a while ago. We were selling this one product from this one retailer. I'm not going to mention it. And we were moving, I'm going to say 20 to 40 units a day. And that was great. Then it went up to, I think it was like 50, and it was going up to 60 units a day. And on that day, I noticed that our supplier had ran out of stock, and almost anybody else that was selling that product was out of stock. So that was a big mistake on my part, and I had to fix it. This happened back in 2017, 2018, roughly. And so what I did was implemented systems to make sure that units that we have are also available with our stores. And the moment that it changes for them, it changes for us too, right? And we fixed tons of things like that to create our own processes. However, you will be making sales with drop shipping, right? If you're doing it right. And so you will have to process orders. This has to be done daily. A lot of people say, you'll do it tomorrow or whatever. This has to be done every single day and as fast as possible. To be honest with you, ideally, every single day at the same time, you want to process all the orders that you're getting and making sure that you put those orders out. And so then that way you can get a tracking number as soon as possible. You don't want to delay on this one. But that kind of brings me to the next thing. Order tracking. Order tracking is super important. Order tracking means you're going to get the tracking number from your supplier and you're going to give it to your buyer. So then that way the platform knows that you're actually fulfilling the unit. That gives you more reputation with the platform. And also the buyer won't be bothering you with questions like my item and things like that. Try to update the tracking number as fast as possible. We have our own process on how to do this in Ecom Pro Systems and in our coaching, and we help you basically understand and have SOPs for every single one of these things that we're talking about here. We literally have SOPs for every single thing that we're talking about here. But anyways, these are the things that you got to do on a daily basis, right? Last but not least, just like in Amazon, with eBay, they won't do your customer service. So customer service, it's really important. You're going to have customers that maybe they didn't see the email with the tracking number. They don't know where to look for the order on their app and say, well, where's my product? And they'll message you, or maybe they have a question, or maybe they want to return it, or there's some sort of issue, right? Customer service will always be part of any online or heck, any retail business. You know, there will be buyers that want to return the product. There will be buyers that are problematic. There will be buyers that are actually not. They just buy the products and they go on with their lives and they're happy. That's the majority of buyers, in my opinion, right? And trust me, we've made hundreds of thousands of sales throughout the last years, 10 years or so. And for the most part, you will have a small amount. But that small amount of buyers that can be sort of problematic, these are the ones that you want to almost take care of as soon as possible, even if that means giving them a refund or apologizing for something that maybe you didn't even do. As long as it makes the platform look good, that's the bottom line. I always see the buyers, sellers they get in trouble because they're trying to prove that they're right. And honestly, sometimes in business like here, you can either prove that you're right or you can move on and make money. And for me, moving on and making money is what makes most sense. Let's go into the weekly stuff. What I'd say, on a weekly basis, you want to run weekly reports. And what I mean by that is how much money you spent. Once again, what was the revenue for your store? What is the ROI? But one of the things that you want to get reports, this is on a sales, you want to get reports or run reports on every single part of this, right? Even repricing. Oh, you reprice something lower end and you make more sales, things like that. But the main thing is payouts. And I know I said I was going to explain to you why I like eBay more. And this is the reason why. Look, so you have stores, right? You can do Amazon or you can do eBay. And in my opinion, if if you make a sale with Amazon, they're going to take anywhere from like 2 to 4 weeks to have that money back into your account. So let me paint you a timeline. Let's say that day one, you buy the product. Let's say it takes the source 4 to 5 days, 5 business days. Then let's say that you ship it, move really fast. So let's say that you buy on Monday, day one, and then you ship out the product. Actually, maybe I can do this here. Might make a lot more sense. So day one, buy, and let's see, there you go. Then maybe by day 7, you ship to Amazon. There we go. Now Amazon's gonna take a week to 2 weeks to process. So maybe by let's say day 18, let's just be generous here. Day 18, they're gonna process the products. And I think you know where I'm going with this. Let's just say process the products. Then how long would it take him to sell out on that product, right? I don't know. Is it a week or 2 weeks? Let's just say 1 week. So 7 more days. So now we're on day 25. And then maybe you sell out at this point, right? Let's just say sold out. Now here's the reality. After this, how long until they put it into your balance, right? They're gonna put it right away. That's not really the problem. The problem is that when they do the payout only comes in every 2 weeks. There we go. So if the payout only comes out every 2 weeks, and let's just say even if it was 1 week out, now we're looking at 30 days, 30 to maybe 40 days. So we're looking at like four to, because we've been really generous with the rest of this stuff, the rest of the days here. So basically you're gonna spend your money and then you're not gonna see that money back with profits or losses for at least 40 days. And that means that in a year, you can do this maybe 10 to 12 times. It's a big problem, to be honest with you. It's an issue. I don't like it. What I do like is eBay, because day one, you sell the product, right? You sell and then you buy because you're doing drop shipping. And then after you sell and you buy, you ship it. Maybe the tracking number is given to you within 3 days. So day 3, ship the product. And if you got the right sources, then maybe by day 7, they're getting the product arrival. Honestly, it's usually right here or Amazon next day. So day 9 or 10, you get your money, you get your payout. So if you look at it, why would I want to spend most of my money to sell on a platform, even though it's super safe, even though it's dropshipping, even though it's like Amazon FBA or whatever? Even if it was wholesale would take a lot longer because you're gonna buy them in bigger quantities. It's gonna take a lot longer. Like wholesale, this is like 60 days. There's no sales velocity with wholesale and private label, even longer than that. We're talking about like three months to 6 months. So if you're new, forget about it. You're probably not going to succeed. That's a big lie. I'm just trying to give it to you the way it is. I would rather do eBay because at the end of the day, how I feed my family, how I pay for this office, how I pay for my people, they need also to feed their families, right? It makes a lot more sense for me to get that money back as fast as possible with profits. And then what I can do with the same dollar here, I can do it and probably make even more here 4 times in the same amount of time, right? So for me, I focus on eBay just for this one reason. I like it. It makes a lot more sense. Some people say, no, it's too risky. The way I see it is every business is risky. There is no business in the world that is not risky. And if there is, it's probably not profitable because you're playing it too safe. At the end of the day, all businesses are risky. There's always that sense of maybe there will be some losses, maybe there will be some stuff. And that's why you need systems, right? You want to be able to track everything as much as possible in order for you to say, well, this keeps making more sense for me to do, and no, this other thing just doesn't make any sense for me to continue doing. Now, I've been in this industry for over 10 years, like I've said, and for me, this is what makes a lot of sense. So running those payouts, let's go back here to the weekly stuff. Those payouts on a weekly basis, it makes a lot more sense. And then what happens on a monthly basis is, on a monthly basis, I like to run a final report, or basically a financial report on how we did that whole month, right? How profitable we were as a business, how where did we lose money, what worked, what didn't work, are we having issues with a certain type of brand, or whatever the case might be. We solve problems on a weekly, monthly basis, but we operate. So let me zoom out here and really show you how this works. Whoa, it's a little bit big. Let's just look at this whole thing. What I see here, what makes a lot of sense is obviously you want to have 80% of this automated, done for you, where you're basically only focusing on maybe only processing orders or maybe buying the products. You're not focusing on product sourcing, product listing. You're not focusing on customer service. You're not having to deal with buyers. You're not even doing the shipments. You're not even doing the prepping. You're not doing the weekly reports. You're basically all of it. How you systemize this and how I do it is I really operate on a week by week basis, not on a day to day basis. For the everyday, I used to do it all by myself, but I figured out how I can systemize it. I'm showing you right now, and then be able to do it that way. So then that way I can just focus on the main picture, which might be maybe make more stores, season like an Amazon store, season an eBay store, always have backups, make sure that our numbers, that we're making money, right? That we're profitable. You have other people doing the processes. And if you're interested in something like that, if you want to be able to learn how to not just systemize this, but how to outsource it, how to do it right, how to properly hire somebody, how to vet them, then what manuals to give them, what SOPs you have, this kind of stuff to give them and say, hey, this is the vision and this is what we're going to do. If you want to learn all of that, I have a program called Ecom Pro Systems. And if you're interested in that, I'm going to send you a link to it, or it's going to be right below this video with a special offer. Now, I don't take a lot of customers for Ecom Pro Systems, and this is the main reason, because they actually have direct access for weeks to me and a few people in my team to make sure they always have all the help that they need. So if this is you and you're interested, the details will be below this video. If you have any questions, send me a DM, contact someone in my team, and then we'll get back to you. Even if you don't, I really hope that this kind of gave you a clear picture of what it looks like to run this business on a day-to-day basis, all the things that you got to keep an eye out for. And so in that way, hopefully you'll be successful, you'll move ahead. A lot of people just focus on where do I find the products? And that's just like 1/10 of what you need to have in order to be successful in this business. Finding products, that's the easy part. I can show you how to do that. I can show you how to find a lot of products. And we have stuff like the HX Finder that helps us get tons of products. And I haven't even talked about that in this video, but that's also part of our systems. This is if you're doing everything yourself. You want to automate it, you want to systemize it, you want to delegate, you want to have a team that helps you, even if it's a very small one, but it makes sense for you financially and to grow and to scale. Then you want to check out our program, Ecom Pro Systems. Or if you already have experience, a lot of this stuff already, You don't need to worry about learning how to systemize it. You just need help with finding the products. I have a great tool. I have an automation that works really well for us. It's called EdgeX Finder. EdgeX Finder helps you find tons of products with a lot of data on how fast they're moving, how fast they're selling. It's a process, it's a system, it's an automation. The best part, it's a one-time fee. It's not a subscription. You're not paying on a monthly basis. You buy it, I install it for you. You have access to 2 weeks to ask us as much as you want in regards to tactics and techniques on how to use that. And then after that, you're gonna be able to use that as much as you want. And trust me, I have clients that are finding hundreds to thousands of products that they can list, buy, and resell. And basically, it's a great tool to have. There's plenty of money to be made for everybody that wants to take this seriously, that understand that you need to have systems, processes, and tools, and the right coaching in place in order to move forward. So if you're interested in anything that I told you about today, make sure that you click the links below this video, you contact us, send us a DM. We can even get on a call if you have any questions. Let me know how serious you are about this. I'd love to help you out. I hope you're having a great day, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.